Hey, welcome to Poli-Sci, and we're live. That's right. We are doing a live reaction to RFK's recent op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, in which he tells us that he's canceling all 17 members of the Vaccine Advisory Council for the CDC. Sounds great. I'm just super excited to go over this. So we'll look at that article together. Couple of notes. I got my tea, so you know shit is serious. My door's open so pets can come in, and I got lots of them. They like to climb on me. Have fun with that. I'll try to keep going. So, on that note, we're gonna hop in and take a look. I'm sorry that the first thing was that face. Seriously, it wasn't intentional.
God, look how orange you look, girl.
But we've got the article, Wall Street Journal, RFK Jr., HHS moves to restore public trust in vaccines. We're reconstituting an advisory committee to avoid conflicts of interest. Yes, if there's one thing about this administration that we know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that they are really concerned with conflicts of interest. Like having Trump's entire family run the freaking government. Okay. And look at that, we hit a paywall. Should I pay? Absolutely not. We're gonna go over to archive.is. You can't see it because I have the top part of this cut out. But actually, let me come over here. Mess with my OBS. There you go. You can see we're at archive.is, and here is your URL. So, I'm not teaching you how to get around paywalls.
I'm going to jail!
Alright, so, like you said, we are reconstituting an advisory committee to avoid conflicts of interest. Absolutely, I totally believe that. Vaccines have become a divisive issue in American politics, but there is one thing all parties can agree on. The U.S. faces a crisis of public trust. Yes, absolutely. The U.S. is facing a crisis of public trust, and this is a multifaceted issue. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but it's not going to be solved by getting rid of the entirety of the committee that recommends vaccines and recommends which vaccines should be given. So, yeah, we have a crisis of public trust. Whether toward health agencies, pharmaceutical companies, or vaccines themselves, public confidence is waning. Okay, bud. Quick point of order. You left out insurance companies, which I know I just work in the medical industry, but insurance companies underpin the entire American healthcare issue. That's why the single-payer healthcare program is such an industry disruptor. That's why we don't do it well. It's because the insurance companies lobby to keep that out of here, because it makes them money. He's going to come back to this. I've skimmed through this article. I haven't read the whole thing, but he's going to come back to that and continue to not actually pin the blame on the healthcare insurance racket. Whether toward health agencies, pharmaceutical companies, or vaccines themselves, public confidence is waning. Cool, bud. Some would try to explain this away by blaming misinformation or anti-science attitudes. Yes, I certainly would. Actually, I would blame RFK personally for the distrust, the general levels of distrust, and the current crisis of public trust. Because guess what? His whole shtick is sowing seeds of distrust in healthcare systems. So don't hit me with that BS, okay? This is classic Trumpist strategies. See, she's mad too. This is a classic strategy. Create an issue and then blame the opposition for the issue. Check out LA for another example. Okay. To do so, however, ignores a history of conflicts of interest, persecution of dissidents, a lack of curiosity, and skewed science that has plagued the vaccine regulatory apparatus for decades. Oh, yes, that sounds really good. Gotta give it to you. It doesn't sound like complete BS, but let's take a bit of a closer look. Yes, there's a history of conflicts of interest. First off, we catch these conflicts of interest, okay? And that's one of the reasons why people have a distrust in the science and the healthcare system. It's because locking my chair so I don't lean back. It's because we have a system in place to catch the people who are going to use their positions for personal gain or falsify data or just generally do poor research and data interpretation practices. The systems are in place for that. So we catch those people. So you know about those people. So it seems like science and the healthcare industry is like, oh man, they're always changing their minds. They have all these issues. But no, we're just the ones who are finding them. It's the difference between hiding all of your problems and self-reporting. If you're the person who self-reports all of the bad things that you do, you are probably going to look like a bad person. But if you have little Timmy Goody Two-Shoes over here, who's being a very bad person, but pretending to be good, they look like a better person. Do you see the difference here? Do you see which of those two has integrity? Okay. I'm already angry. We're on the second paragraph. So, yeah, persecution of dissidents doesn't... No. We tell you, not you, just a general you, that you have bad methodology. We point out issues with how you got to the answer. And then you have such a strong emotional attachment to the answer that you're like, oh, well, they're just trying to silence me. No, dude, you got to the answer through a bad process. If you say 2 + 2 = 5, I'm like, hey man, let me show you 1, 2, 3, 4. See, 4. It's like, dude, you're just trying to silence me. No, I'm trying to correct you. I'm trying to help you get to the right answer because science cares more about the truth than it does about the emotional attachment to a specific answer. And I've covered this before. There are absolutely people in the science community who care more about their emotional attachment to a specific outcome than the pursuit of truth. However, those people, A, are the minority, and B, they're caught and weeded out because the system is designed to do that. Beating a dead horse over here. A lack of curiosity and skewed science. Bro, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you about that. Like, if you think science is lacking curiosity, you are sorely mistaken. It's just that we keep coming to the same answers. That is why, under my direction, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is putting the restoration of public trust above any pro or anti-science, anti-vaccine agenda. The public must know that unbiased science guides the recommendations from our health agencies. This will ensure the American people receive the safest vaccines possible. I mean, this is just a lot of fluff. It's a lot of BS. Yeah, I mean, restoring public trust, the way to do that is not by coming in and shaking everything up. And I'm all for a good shake-up, but the way that you restore public trust is not by coming in and removing the entire vaccine recommendation council. Again, I know I'm ahead of myself. I think we're about to get there. I'm sorry if I ruined the surprise for you, but this isn't how you do it. And it's generally good. First, the public, when you phrase things like that, like the public, it's like, oh, I guess lots of people have this concern with biased science. And really, I do think that it's a minority. It's a large enough minority that it's causing a public health issue. But I do think that it's a minority. But painting it like that makes it seem like, oh, is everybody else? Like, should I be worried about this too? No. If that question is in your head, no. side story. I'm really happy that at the beginning of the COVID debacle, my mom actually reached out to me and was like, Paul, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about vaccines. Should I be worried? And I think about this probably once a month, and I'm so grateful that she thought to reach out to somebody that she trusted, because that is the tipping point right there. That could have been bad for the entire family. But she put trust in somebody who she truly believed had the best knowledge at the time. And I mean, look at that. We're all vaccinated and we're all just doing fantastic. Today, we are taking a bold step in restoring public trust by totally reconstituting the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, or ACIP. I don't know if that's how they pronounce the acronym, but I'm going to call it ACIP. We are retiring the 17 current members of the committee, some of whom were last-minute appointees of the Biden administration. So, you got to give your little nod of the hat to Trump, because that's what you do. You swear fealty to the king. Without removing the current members, the current Trump administration would not have been able to appoint a majority of new members until 2028. Now, I'm not up to date on the specifics of how people get put on this committee. Because again, I'm doing this live. If I was doing a bit of scripting, I would probably look that up ahead of time. But the fact that you can do this at all tells me that you wouldn't actually have to wait. So he just knocked all those people out. Hang on, I'm going to pause and look it up. Alright, so take a look at this. I have it formatted weird, but ACIP membership, there's some general information about it. Doesn't tell you anything specific. This says that they typically serve 4-year terms, but are appointed by the Secretary of HHS, who can appoint and dismiss members at will. So, yeah, seems like 2028 is not a thing. What I found really interesting was the CDC. This website was last updated April 14th, 2025, so relatively recently. It's gone. And if there is a trend about online presences that we've had during this whole administration, quote unquote, it's just removing web pages. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Alright, so, yeah, without removing current members, the Trump also, I'm being a super nitpicky writer, but I would not use current and current 2 words apart. That's just me. Current Trump administration would not have been able to appoint a majority of new members until 2028. Absolutely not. Not true. Not true. If you can... these people are basically there at will employment with the appointment of the Secretary of HHS. Cool. But also, if you can just up and remove 17 members, then you don't really have to wait, okay? I don't know what else to do. It's just kind of a bold-faced lie. ACIP evaluates the safety, efficacy, and clinical need of the nation's vaccines and passes its findings on to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Look at that, folks. We found the first truth. The committee has been plagued with persistent there we go, back to the lies. Conflicts of interest, and has become little more than a rubber stamp for any vaccine. It has never recommended against a vaccine, even those later withdrawn for safety reasons. It has failed to scrutinize vaccine products given to babies and pregnant women. Always a classic. If you want people to be worried, throw out babies and pregnant women. Those are the ones that we care about. We have to protect our women and children. To make matters worse, the groups that inform ACIP meet behind closed doors, generally meetings, violating the legal and ethical principle of transparency crucial to maintaining public trust. Who's fact-checking this? Hang on, I'll be back. Let's look. Alright, so the claims here, one, that I can't do anything with little more than a rubber stamp for any vaccine. I mean, it is never recommended against a vaccine, so this is straight off of the CDC website. I just tracked this down for the ACIP's vaccine-specific recommendations and clicked on one that I thought would not be recommended, which was typhoid. So, I mean, if a vaccine passes the FDA, because ACIP does not actually do anything for saying this vaccine should not be on the market at all, it's unsafe. That's the FDA. ACIP says these are the vaccines that we recommend using in a specific way. So they're not really about safety, they're about the medical use. I know there is a lot of overlap there and it's kind of nuanced, but it's an important distinction. Because saying that they've never voted against a vaccine is like, yeah, of course, that's not what they do. They don't just make every vaccine that we have routine for everyone. Right here, routine typhoid vaccination is not recommended in the United States. You know why? Because we don't have freaking typhoid. Okay? Let's see what else. Polio, that's a classic. Let's see, what do we have here? This one's 2023. The last one was 2015. Let's see. So they recommend a polio vaccine. That is, I mean, I kind of support that because they recently found polio in New York. In the sewers of New York, they found evidence of polio. So, sure. Rabies, I am almost certain that there is not a recommendation for rabies vaccines for everybody. So, for persons at risk for only recognized rabies exposures. Okay, cool. Pre-exposure prophylaxis is recommended for certain persons at high risk for exposure. Great. So, if you could be exposed to rabies, if you're working with bats, great. Yeah, I can see that now that wasn't showing for y'all. I'll figure out the videos and windows next time I do a Poli-Sci Live. Hey. But coming back to the article, this is pretty clearly a misrepresentation. It's not a gross misrepresentation of the facts, but it is a clear misrepresentation of the facts that just requires a tiny bit of Googling. So, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, bud, but you're lying because you think people won't fact check you. I'm fact checking you, bro. Call him BS. Oh, yeah, and meet behind closed doors. Meetings are open to the public via live webcast. So maybe the doors are closed, but only because you don't want the mosquitoes to get in. In 2000, the House issued the results of an investigation of ACIP and another vaccine advisory committee under the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, the Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee. It found that enforcement of its conflict of interest rules was weak to non-existent. Okay. Committee members regularly participated in deliberations and advocated products in which they had a financial stake. Bro, RFK, are you kidding me? Hey, you YouTube people, go watch my video on how RFK sells doubt, because I don't even, yeah, the entire administration is making bank. Don't get me started. I know that it's not a good thing to say, well, like, look, he's doing it too. Look at Trump. There are so many conflicts of interest. Look at the freaking plane from Qatar. Okay. Alright. But just to be very generous with my interpretation, RFK is working to restore public trust. He says he's working to restore public trust. So, sure, this is an important thing that people are voting on topics in which they don't have a financial stake. CDC issued conflict of interest waivers to every committee member. Okay, sure. 4 out of 8 ACIP members who voted in 1997 on guideline for the RotaShield vaccine, subsequently withdrawn because of severe adverse effects, had financial ties to pharmaceutical companies developing other rotavirus vaccines. I actually don't know. Okay. Rotavirus. Cool. Was not familiar with the brand name. Subsequently withdrawn because of severe adverse events, had financial ties to pharmaceutical companies developing other rotavirus vaccines. Cool. The way that I'm reading this is that they voted on the RotaShield vaccine since it was subsequently withdrawn. I'm assuming that they voted for it. Why would they vote for a vaccine if they had financial ties to pharmaceutical companies developing other rotavirus vaccines? Am I misreading? Let me know in the comments, but that feels like an even bigger reason they were voting against their own financial interests. Okay, a 2009 HHS Inspector General, I assume they just got fired after Trump's mass firing of the Inspectors General, but whatever. The report echoed these findings. Damn, looks like Inspectors General are important. Few committee members completed full conflict of interest forms. 97% of them had omissions. The CDC took no significant action to remedy the omissions. Okay. Give me a sec. Let's fact check. All right. So, first thing we're going to show is that the CDC's the report from the Inspectors General. So, long story short, and just to prove that I am fair and not a bootlicker, it does look like the CDC dropped the ball on this. They certainly should have been more cautious with ethics and ensuring lack of ethical violations, or at least reducing the potential for ethics violations. It looks like they did not make sure that people had the right training, which, having worked in government, I can tell you that the training was probably not that beneficial, but like, whatever, it still needs to be done. It does serve a role and it's important. They did not make sure that they had financial disclosure forms on a lot of their people, a lot of the people on the committees. So yeah, they certainly dropped the ball. That was the 2009 HHS Inspector General, which, good job, you're doing your job. The investigation, the House issued the results of an investigation. That link is just the UPI, the United Press. They're a really good source, really unbiased source, and they're talking about. They start off with a story of 8-month-old Chase Irons. Don't make fun of the name. And anytime that it starts off with a story like this, where you're talking about the screaming started 4 hours after 8-month-old Chase Irons, like, that is really giving the same vibes as Children's Health Defense or any sort of anti-vaccine propaganda. It's designed to hit an emotional reaction and not to provide facts. This right here, this is boring. This is the real good stuff that tells you, yup, this is thorough and accurate. This, no, that's gonna be a emotional grab. This is trying to be a tearjerker. Now, to be fair, I didn't read all of this in the period of time. It's currently 8:20, and I'm going to bed like within the hour. So I didn't take the time to read this entire article, and also the 53-page committee report or Inspector General report. But I would like to, and some of the things that you should go look this up yourself, and some of the things that I want to look into are the specific methodologies, and I want to know about what, if there were any actually negative outcomes. They set themselves up to have a they open themselves to liability, they open themselves to ethics violations, and not just ethics violations, but actually somebody taking advantage of the lax ethical environment. Cat, stop eating paper. Don't do it. Okay. You can sit on it, don't eat it. But did anything bad happen from it? When you're talking about neglect in the medical field, you have to have a few different things. You have to have a duty to act, a breach of duty. You have to have proximate cause and actual damages. So they have to be hurt, and it has to have been caused by you not doing your job. That is negligence. So I want to know if there was any actual damages that happened from this, if there was anybody taking advantage of the lax ethical environment, because if not, like, yeah, CDC, you messed up, but why are we getting mad about this? Also, I don't know I don't know how long these people have been on the committee, but it's been a quarter of a century since this, the 2000. I know, I'm sorry. It's been a quarter of a century since 2000. If you need to pause and go have a quick existential crisis, totally get it. But it's been a while, so I don't know why we're busting these out. Other than that's the only real evidence that you have. Because I tell you what, if the CDC got their hand slapped, and then they got their act together, I mean, that would make sense. When was the CDC founded? Hang on. All right, the CDC has a very extensive timeline. If you want to go look through it, they were founded in 1946, and I mean, they've been doing stuff until then, until now. But yeah, there's lots of info about the CDC's history online. What I was curious about is if they actually had started to pick up the pace in the 90s, and that's why they ended up having these conflicts of interest, because they were still relatively new. But nah, they dropped the ball. Sounds like a bureaucrat administrator who shouldn't have been in their position was not doing their job. But again, that's why you have inspectors general, and it sounds like they fixed the problem since. Cool. These conflicts of interest persist. Most of ACIP's members have received substantial funding from pharmaceutical companies, including those marketing vaccines. Okay, two things. One, which pharmaceutical companies are not marketing vaccines? Two, citation needed? Like, are you going to prove that at all, other than just saying it?
You're not even a real journalism. That's right.
The problem isn't necessarily that ACIP members are corrupt. Most likely aim to serve the public interest as they understand it. Ooh, as they understand it. Just like, let me slip a little doubt in there. The problem is their immersion in a system of industry-aligned incentives and paradigms that enforce a narrow pro-industry orthodoxy. The new members won't work directly for the vaccine industry. They will exercise independent judgment, refuse to serve as a rubber stamp, and foster a culture of critical inquiry, unafraid to ask hard questions. Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but, you know, a lot of people in this administration have said a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm not going to be the big disillusioned guy. It's like, well, politicians, they just say stuff. I mean, it happens. You say that you want to do a thing, and then you get into the system, and the system's designed to be slow. It be that way. But you're making a lot of claims here. You're making a lot of claims that the current, well, I guess now ex-members were garbage, and a lot of claims that the new members will be great. So, you know, you gotta prove these claims if they're gonna mean anything. A clean sweep is needed to reestablish public confidence in vaccine science. In the 1960s, the world sought guidance from America's health regulators, who had a reputation for integrity, scientific impartiality, and zealous defense of patient welfare. Public trust has since collapsed, but we will earn it back. Why the 1960s? I mean, I know why I think you chose the 1960s, because that was the golden age, but it was not the golden age for a lot of people. Any minority, anybody who's not a wealthy, cisgender, heterosexual, white male was not really living the dream in the 1960s. The other thing that's not really mentioned here is that the ACIP, that committee, their recommendations have to be covered by insurance. So, every insurance company has to completely cover the vaccines that they recommend for all of their people. So, yeah, if I was an insurance company, remember back to the beginning, talked about that corruption? If I was an insurance company, I would want the vaccines to not be covered, because then I'm going to get paid. That they're not covered. So you've got RFK, who he says all the time, "Oh, I'm not anti-vax." BS, bro. You were a big part of the Children's Health Defense, which is pure anti-vax. That's anti-vax corporate edition. So yeah, you definitely are anti-vax. You're gonna be you, man. Stop hedging your bets. Stop trying to play both sides. Pick a lane. You're either for vaccines or you're against them. You can talk about, oh, I just want the research. The research is there, all right? You're just being intentionally obtuse. So you're against vaccines. You're not going to pick a lane. I'm going to pick it for you. You are against vaccines. So if we make it so that the insurance companies don't cover the vaccines by getting rid of the ACIP members and appointing, remember, it's an appointed position, and appointing people who will reduce that, you are making it so people are getting less vaccines. And I promise you that at a certain point in their administration, RFK is going to point to some health indicator that says, look, we're healthier, it's because we have less vaccines. I will bet you so much money. Oh, man. I mean, I don't have that much, but I'll bet it. I'll put it on the line right now, because that right there is how this game is played. So mark my words. Oh man, I'm worked up. All right, so thanks for watching Poli-Sci Live. This is a different format. If you like it, please let me know. I'm glad I got the audio figured out since my first video. Yes, and I appreciate the people who let me know that it was absolute garbage. If you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe. Give me an interaction. All the things that YouTube loves. Because when you do that, I get sent to more people, I get seen more, and the good message of critical thinking gets passed on to more people. And together, we can take down the pseudoscientists. All right, have a great day.